Thank you for the interest that was shown in my post on LinkedIn yesterday, which has been seen over 1,250 times. It was on domestic reinstatement valuations under the BCIS, or Building Cost Information Service. And I was looking at a mid-terrace property built around about 1910, which had got external wall insulation at the back, and I was asking how other people dealt with measuring it up, etc. I've had 3 comments, and to be honest, they ask more questions than they answer, to my mind, which is the purpose of this presentation. So I'm doing a level 2 RICS home buyer survey and valuation, and have to provide valuation, and that includes the reinstatement cost, and it's defined in the description of the service, and there it is. So the reinstatement cost is the cost of rebuilding an average home of the type and style inspected to its existing standard, using modern materials and techniques and in line with current building regulations and other legal requirements. This includes the cost of rebuilding any garage, boundary or retaining walls and permanent outbuildings and clearing the site. It includes professional fees, but does not include VAT except on fees. And the reinstatement cost helps you, the client, decide on the amount of buildings insurance cover you will need for the property. So I've got to do it. There's no copping out. Subject property is in Wales. It's neither listed nor is it in conservation area. And if, for example, you were to rebuild the front wall, then you'd need building regulation approval and planning consent. And here's an example. It's not the one I'm looking at, and I know actually nothing about this property in Adeline Street, but you can see on the left that there's a traditional stone solid wall, but here on the right it's been rebuilt with cavity brick. Now, maybe the owner, in the event of a total loss of the subject property, would be content to have cavity brick. Obviously my subject property is similar to this, it's stone, but the owner may wish to replace it with stone. The planners may require it to be replaced with stone. And of course that affects the costs. So I've measured the property up. Now, the way I measured it up was to include the external wall insulation, which is about 100 millimeters thick. And so I got a larger area. In other words, it's not the net area, but I haven't added on for the cost of the wall insulation in this provisional costing. But obviously, if I had the net area, then the cost I've come up to would be smaller. And here I've got the age at 1840 to 1919, and I'm using an external area. I could use internal, but this is how BCIS operates. Now, if I was to have put the age in at current, then the rate here would be about £2,000 per metre squared, and I'd end up with a total cost of about 300,000. So it makes a little bit of difference. Now, here's some recent case law. Endurance Corporate Capital Limited. Here, the owner's intentions was argued, and I think in this case it was accepted that they were going to rebuild the building, but it wouldn't necessarily always apply. In the next one, Udin and another, the court were not impressed with the claimant's arguments. Now, this one here, this negligence one, infinity reliance, is quite important. Here, a broker was alleged to have failed to advise for a sufficient sum. And of course, this is what we as valuers are doing. We're advising what the sum should be. And depending on what the owner's intention is, the sum we've suggested, it may be insufficient or excessive, and therefore it could become the subject of a claim. And just looking at the way I got my own home, which is nothing terribly exciting, it's not this one, covered. It's covered very broadly up to £1 million. I mean, it wouldn't cost anything like £1 million to rebuild. Well, and then, but the home I bought for my daughter assessed at £341,523, and heaven forbids that we should ever start arguing about the £23, but still. Now, I did deal with a case a couple of years ago. Now, I had not done the original valuation. The owners bought it in about 10 years ago, and the way they did their BCIS calculation was they used fair, not good, and so they were on lower rates per metre squared, and then they had a loss. I don't know if it was a total loss or not, but the loss adjuster was trying to apply average adjustment of 22% because he felt that the cover was insufficient. Now, fortunately, I was able to sustain my client's arguments that they got the reinstatement cost about right, and so therefore their claim should be met. But it's important to get these reinstatement costs about right, and so I thought it would be interesting to do this presentation to draw any further comments from you. Many thanks.